Rain poured heavily outside as the night crept in over Kasaragi Academy. The classroom was dim, the only source of light flickering from the weak bulbs above. A group of students had gathered after school, laughing and whispering as thunder cracked against the sky. Naomi, a bright yet cautious girl with long black hair, sat by her best friend Seiko. The two girls always stuck together, and Naomi often found herself relying on Seiko's cheerful optimism. Beside them sat Satoshi, the timid boy with a good heart, his younger sister Yuka, who clutched a talisman-like charm, Ayumi, the class rep obsessed with ghost stories, and Yashiki, the cool-headed realist who secretly admired Ayumi. The group was joined by Miss Shinozaki, their homeroom teacher, who often spoiled them with kindness. It was her last day at the academy, and the students wanted to create a memory together. Ayumi, with a mischievous glint in her eyes, pulled out a folded slip of paper. "I have something interesting for tonight," she said. "It's called the Sachiko Ever After Charm. If we all do this together, we'll remain friends forever, no matter what." Her words intrigued everyone, though a faint unease settled in Naomi's chest. Still, nobody wanted to ruin the fun. Ayumi explained the ritual. Everyone had to hold onto the paper doll and chant Sachiko, "We beg of you," multiple times before tearing it apart. Each person would keep a piece of the charm as a token of eternal friendship. The group huddled close, gripping the fragile paper doll as they began chanting. "Sachiko, we beg of you. Sachiko, we beg of you." The classroom seemed to grow colder. Naomi's breath fogged in the air, her hand trembling. A sudden clap of thunder rattled the building, and the paper tore apart with unnatural force. Then, the floor beneath them cracked. The world tilted. Screams filled the classroom as the ground swallowed them whole. When Naomi opened her eyes, she was no longer in her familiar classroom. The air was thick with dust, the faint stench of rot lingering in the halls. The walls were lined with bloodstains, the desks scattered, and the windows barred with rusted metal. A broken sign on the wall read, "Heavenly Host Elementary School." They were trapped in a place that wasn't supposed to exist. The group realized quickly they weren't together anymore. Naomi and Seiko stumbled through the eerie hallways, calling out for their friends, their footsteps echoing like whispers in the dark. The wooden floors creaked, some planks missing, revealing endless darkness beneath. It was Ayumi's horror stories come to life. Heavenly Host Elementary had once been a real school decades ago, but it was demolished after a string of gruesome murders. Children had gone missing. Teachers vanished. The culprit was never found. Yet somehow, the school lived on, resurrected in a twisted dimension. Blood-smeared messages lined the walls. Some desks bore carvings of desperate pleas. "Help US. IT won't let US go. The children are always watching." Naomi clutched Seiko's arm. This can't be real. But the soft sound of sobbing proved otherwise. In one corner of the hall, a figure stood, a child in a tattered school uniform. His head tilted unnaturally, and his eyes were hollow pits. When Seiko tried to approach, the child vanished, leaving behind a pool of black liquid. The friends soon discovered they were not alone. Ghostly children roamed the halls, spirits of those who had been brutally murdered during the original school's curse. Their presence was vengeful, and they fed on the souls of the living. While Naomi and Seiko tried to find a way out, Satoshi and Yuka explored another wing. Yuka clung tightly to her brother, terrified of every sound. They stumbled upon a classroom where blood covered the chalkboard. Scrawled words read, "Once you enter, there is no return." Satoshi wanted to leave immediately, but Yuka froze, staring at the center of the room. A corpse lay slumped against the desk, the uniform still recognizable as belonging to a Kasaragi Academy student. In his cold, stiff hand, he clutched a piece of the Sachiko charm. Realization hit them. The ritual hadn't bound them as friends. It had bound them to the curse. Meanwhile, Naomi and Seiko grew desperate. The air became heavier, Naomi collapsing in exhaustion. Seiko knelt beside her, reassuring her, until the sound of a rope creaking echoed above. Naomi's eyes widened in horror. Seiko was being lifted off the ground, strangled by an invisible force. Her face turned purple as she kicked wildly, choking out Naomi's name. Naomi screamed, clawing at the rope, but her hands passed through. The ghostly children appeared, laughing with lifeless voices. And then Seiko's body went limp. Naomi fell to her knees, sobbing, as her best friend dangled lifelessly above her. The group dwindled one by one. Yashiki tried to protect Ayumi, but she became increasingly unhinged, whispering about spirits guiding her. Miss Shinozaki was found impaled against a wall, her blood painting the cracked plaster. Naomi, traumatized by Seiko's death, wandered aimlessly until she reunited with Satoshi. He held her trembling hands, trying to keep her sane. But hope was fading fast. The curse demanded sacrifices. Heavenly Host fed on fear, binding the living with the dead. Naomi began hearing Seiko's voice, begging her to join her. Sometimes she saw Seiko's shadow walking ahead, only to vanish at the corner. Guilt tore at her soul. She had promised they would escape together, but she had failed. Ayumi, despite her crumbling sanity, uncovered the truth of the curse. Heavenly Host's horrors were tied to a single spirit, Sachiko Shinozaki. She had once been a little girl murdered in the school basement, her body mutilated and hidden. The curse had bound her spirit, twisting her into a vengeful force. The ritual they performed had called upon Sachiko herself. Instead of friendship, they had sealed a pact with the damned. Ayumi realized the only way to escape was to find Sachiko's remains and appease her spirit. But Sachiko's laughter haunted every hallway. She didn't want peace. She wanted companions in her eternal suffering. The surviving students gathered near the basement, where the walls bled endlessly. Children's corpses lined the floor, their eyes staring in eternal agony. At the center stood Sachiko, a pale little girl with long black hair, her smile stretching unnaturally.